Welcome to Attican Plays Railway Empire. All right, hi, this is Attican, and welcome to this overview of the Railway Empire France DLC and version 1.9, which has just been released out to the public production branch. So, all of us who are Railway Empire fans, of course, are happy. There's a new DLC, France DLC. So let's take a quick look at an overview of that and see what we're going to get from that France DLC. We will get a new scenario called Into a New Time. I've had a brief look at it. It looks like it's going to be fun, and it's marked as hard, and we all know what that means. It means it's going to be a real challenge for us. We get the new map of France, which is a nice map. It has a big area. Well, I'll show you in a little bit. And some new engines. We'll walk through those. And we get some new goods. They kind of Frenchify the production chain. We can make wine out in fields out in the rural areas. We can make cheese from our dairy industry. So it's all pretty cool. Little set of industries that will need to get used to the demands and the supply and how those goods fit together. The concession feature is basically just like the what we saw in the Germany DLC with the provinces. Only here we're buying concessions to get new areas that we can build into in France. And then, of course, there's some new music, but I personally don't listen to the music, so those of you who do, enjoy it. And the characters, again, I'll use that as the silly term, Frenchify. The characters have been renamed, a lot of them, and the descriptions have changed, but their basic characteristics are still the same. So let's go take a look right here at what's coming out in 1.9. Now, 1.9 is just basic upgrade to your to the system, its functionality, its fixes, its what have you. And so they've got this has been released into the public, so anybody who owns the game will get this automatically for free, let's say. So now the DLC scenarios can be modded. You can increase the number of trains and stations. Oh, max number, in case you're maxing out. I've never had that problem. Skipping music, don't care. Train list now shows any problems that employees currently have. Okay, that could be helpful. We've got some tool tips to train list sorting. That could be helpful. Can disable all the newspapers except historic. That actually is kind of nice. Filter train list, good. We'll go through this stuff. Let's see, new icon. Let's see if there's anything. Freight and express research topics are marked. That's useful. Areas which are reserved by an industry for later expansion. Oh, now that's kind of useful too. As you're building, as you know, if you own an industry, you can't necessarily put a station in a city where you want to, but now you will be able to see where the industry might expand to, and we'll know how to avoid that area. That's a good thing. After company merge, assigned employer no longer marked as new. Okay, I guess they just become our employees. The speed of trains with missing supplies, such as water, has been reduced. Okay, so now not having your supplies matters more than it used to. That's good. Now, here we go. These guys, I'm telling you, these people are sharp. Maintenance of the trains is now more important as breakdown delays have been increased if the engine is in a bad condition. That's something I've complained about all along, that you can not have supplies and not maintain your trains, and you really don't care. Now it looks like you're going to care. That's a good thing. Good. And a bunch of bug fixes, which we won't go into. So that's the version 1.9 update and an overview of the French DLC. Now let's go into the game, and we'll take a look at the map and the trains and what's out there for us. Okay, the first thing we notice here, we have a new map, France. And that comes with it a new scenario called Into a New Time, which is considered hard. Hard means hard in this game. And it's all about basically the time right after Napoleon was exiled, had to resign from leadership. Then now we've got a potential change in France, and basically we're going to have our railroads going to play a central role in moving the direction or setting the direction of France. So that'll be pretty cool. And let's just go in here, and I'll cover the scenario obviously in a playthrough, but just take a look at the characters now. See, they have slightly different names, a little different uniform maybe. I don't know if his is different, but exact same characteristics. If we look at the gangster now, he's got this strange looking garb, and but he has the same characteristics as before. And now instead of where was it, Munich, I think he grew up in Germany. Now he grows up in Marseille. And now we've renamed Roger to Louis Villard, and changed his description, but he's exactly the same character. Engineer, same thing. He's now Mark Seguin, or however you say that. And by the way, if you thought my German was bad, my French is possibly even worse. Maybe it's a tie for last. I don't know. Same characteristics for the engineer. And the lady, again, new outfit. I think that's a new outfit, but exactly the same. And same thing for the trickster. Exactly the same. All right, so those are the characters. And let's just take a look at a more in-depth look at the map. And the first thing we can see is when we look at these territories, they are divided up into territories similar to the Germany one. And our scenario, we start with one territory, and then we have to buy the rights to go into all these other territories. And we can look at the products and see how the new supply chain looks. If we go into this city right here, and we look at the needs, we see that the big six now are grain, pigs, which are optional depending on whether or not you have a meat industry, wine, logs, pasty, which is a type of food, and pastries or baked goods. And then we've got, kind of the usual suspects: sheep's wool, olives, which are new, olive oil, obviously made out of the olives. We have cloth that's woven from the wool, sheep's wool. And then the cloth can be turned into clothing. And then we have sugar beets that can be used to make alcohol or liquor. We have liquor. We have milk that comes from dairy farms, and then we have soft cheese that dairy industry turns milk into soft cheese. We have lumber, as we've had many times, and paper, coal and iron, and steel. We also have sea salt, and we have newspapers made from the logs, and lavender, which is used to make perfume, and cosmetics, and tools, which are made out of steel and lumber. And then we have crude silk, which is added in. I forget which one it's made, I think it's the perfume or the cosmetics, I'm not sure. For the fancier clothes. And then evening attire. So if you get a really big city, they want evening attire, fancy clothes. So it's very similar, obviously. It's very much like the other supply chains we've had, but it does have its twist, and it does have kind of some French characteristics to it, like the wine and I don't know what else. I don't want to promote stereotypes too much, so let's just say the wine. And so there you go. There's the map. There's the new production chain. The actual playing of the game is pretty much the same, with the exception of those things we just covered about version 1.9. And then what else would there be to see on the map here? I think that's the trains themselves. I'm going to go into sandbox mode so we can look at the new trains. Okay, one thing to note is we're in sandbox mode, but we can play France just like we did the others in the different time periods, including 1832, 1930, the whole 100-year deal. So it's got the same kind of a thing. And so let's just go in here, and we don't really care. Let's just go in and take a look at the trains, the new trains. I'm not even sure I can identify which ones are new. Okay, so go into our engine shed, and I don't remember the Adler. I think it was in the Germany. Le Continent, that must be a new one, an express train. The Bourbonnais certainly sounds French. So we got a mixed use train, pretty decent ratings, kind of cool looking. The Holda we've had before in Germany, Class F consolidation. Sterling is old. The O-U-E-S-T, Weist. I'm not sure how to say that. The Weist, a simple looking freight train. And I have no clue how to say that. Fortino, I guess, is an express train. And that one's kind of cool looking. That one's got a little bling to it. And the Class 121, I believe, is a new train, a mixed-use train. The De Glen, I don't recall that. I think that's a new mixed-use as well. The G5, I'm not sure about. And the Class 3B, I think that's a carryover, although I do know it comes up early in the scenario. So those are the new engines. So we got new engines. We've got a nice big new map. We've got the biggest thing about the map is the northern section up here is very, very flat. And then down here in the bottom, it's quite the opposite. Down here in the south, as we get into the French Alps, quite the opposite. Very, very rugged. But our cities really go down to the Alps, but they don't really go across it. So it's really a pretty flat map overall. Here's Grenoble is sitting over here by itself, kind of hiding. But most of the cities are very accessible. One, Strasbourg, is a little hidden by the mountains, but it's a pretty flat map. It should be pretty easy to build on as far as, you're not going to have extremely expensive track. So anyway, there's a quick look at the version 1.9 update and the new France DLC. I'm looking forward to playing the DLC because the scenarios are always challenging. They're always interesting. They always put nice twists in them to make them very, very difficult. So looking forward to playing that. I'll be doing that soon, and hopefully this will help you get an idea of whether or not you want to dive in and join us in playing the France DLC. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player, and I hope you'll join us for our next Railway Empire video. Thank you.